Hey, what's up YouTubers, and welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts update video. Well, summer has come and gone. It is now the early stages of fall. The air is a little crisper. The leaves are changing colors. The grass is getting thicker again until the frost hits, and then it'll start to go dormant for the winter, and then of course we'll start getting feet of snow here in the great state of Wisconsin. By the way, I am coming to you live from the great state of Wisconsin at the Walnuts compound, and joining me today are the two lovely ladies. Front and center, Miss Hannah, the very pretty Miss Hannah. Maybe if we're lucky, she'll show us her belly. Can we see your pretty belly, Hannah? Where's your belly? Where's your belly? Maybe she doesn't want to show us her belly. Usually she does, but apparently not today. In the back corner is the cute little Heidi Marie. So today I have a couple of miscellaneous titles. I have a little stack of Scream Factory stuff that I've been picking up. Some of the cheaper plain Jane titles that I think are still great. I just haven't, I'm kind of catching up on some of the ones that I've missed over time. And Amazon has really good prices on some of these, and I'll talk more about that as I come across them. I got another VHS tape from Subrosa Studios. I got a little stack here of, I guess most of these are horror titles that I picked up at flea markets and thrift shops. I got a couple of little Halloween decor that I really think is pretty cool, so I'll show those two in this video, being that Halloween is my favorite holiday, and pretty much year-round it's Halloween here at the Walnuts compound. But I really do enjoy the decor and all the different things that come out in October, late September. I did manage to pick up a lot of VHS, and I've been really VHS crazy lately, so I'm going to show you guys what I picked up for the VHS stuff. And I even picked up some cassette tapes. So yes, I did start to kind of pick up. I'm not going to go crazy on cassettes because space is limited. As collectors, we know that space is a premium, and once you start running out of space, then you got to start getting rid of things, and you got to decide which. It's like trying to decide which of your favorite things you want to get rid of, and that's never very fun to do. So I even picked up a 8-track tape. I was pretty happy to find that for $0.25. I'm sure some of you guys are watching this and you're young, you don't even know what an 8-track tape was, but we'll talk about that too when I get to it. And more VHS. So get yourself comfortable. Let's go through and see what I picked up over the past month of collecting. So let's get into it here. So I think we'll start with the miscellaneous pile. I just want to say also that this will be my last video for a while, at least for probably a month and a half. I do have plans at the mid to end of October. I'm going to be traveling from Wisconsin to the state of Kentucky. I'm going to be attending my first horror convention, and I'm going to be meeting a couple of my good buddies here from YouTube. I'm not sure if I should mention who or give too many details about that, but one of my good buddies from here on YouTube, and we've been chatting a lot on WhatsApp and stuff like that. He offered his home to me that I can go down there and crash for. I think I'm going to stay down there about 5 or 6 days, and the horror convention I believe is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Kentucky. I'm going to stay at his house for about maybe a week or so, give or take. And I'm going to be meeting one of my good buddies from England. He's going to be flying over, and I will provide footage. I'm going to take some video while I'm down there. I'll probably do a daily video just to kind of show you what's going on down in Kentucky and what's going on at the convention. I'm sure my buddy who I'm staying with won't mind being on camera, but myself, I've never really been big on being on camera. As you can tell, I always do the first person view of my videos. And my other friend who has a pretty big YouTube channel, I don't think he really likes to be on camera either. But we'll see. You know, I'm gonna take some footage. It's gonna be my first convention, so I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I'm pretty excited about this. So I'm gonna be holding off on any update videos probably until November. So all right, let's get into the miscellaneous pile, which is only 2 movies here. And the first one is the 4K upgrade of a movie called Friday the 13th. And I haven't seen this movie yet, but I heard it's pretty good. I heard it's a kind of a backwoods slasher movie. I think there's a killer in here. It's something about there's camp counselors and there's some kind of a lake, and the camp counselors are getting picked off one by one. So no spoilers, please. I do plan on checking this out soon. And the cover looks cool. I mean, is that the outline of the killer with a bloody knife? Who knows, right? I mean, I gotta find out. I gotta watch it. But that is awesome, that cover. It did come with a digital code. If anybody would like that code, comment down below. First come, first serve. I will get that to you. I used to show them, but nobody would, tell me if they got them or anything. So I never knew if they were being used. So now I just do it. If somebody wants it, you can comment and I'll email it to you. But there's the disc on the back of that advertising card. There is the code, so I'm not going to show that now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this out. I think the family in here is called the Voorhees family. Jason Voorhees, if I'm pronouncing that right. So you do get 2 cuts of the film. You get the unrated and the theatrical cut, which is really cool. So if anybody can recommend which one I should watch without any spoilers, please let me know. I'm really looking forward. I may watch this weekend and check that out. Friday the 13th. The next one is an upgrade, I guess. It's Don't Go in the House. This is the Arrow Video Blu-ray that I just recently picked up. I got this a couple weeks ago now. This one I owned already. This is the Scorpion releasing Blu-ray of it, and that's the reversible cover. This movie is pretty decent. It's kind of almost like a Psycho type movie where Don Grimaldi, a very young Don Grimaldi, you may know him from The Sopranos. He played Patsy Parisi in that show, which is an excellent show. The best show of all time, in my opinion. Some people may argue, but hey, it's my own opinion, and it's my favorite show. So there are some very similarities between this movie and Psycho, I guess. It said it was uncut for the first time when Scorpion released this back in... Let's see here. I'm trying to see the year that this was released by Scorpion. The movie itself came out in 1980. And I think this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago this was released, if I had to guess. So I'd say about 2016, maybe 2017. Scorpion released this. It looks pretty good, and it did come with some pretty good special features there, you can see. But like I said, I own this one already, and we're not here to talk about that one because now I got the Arrow Video release of it with this beautiful slipcover. I guess I should probably show you that Scorpion releasing one more time just because that is the original cover, and that was also included if you guys are interested in that. This was also a choice for the Scorpion releasing cover. You can flip that if you'd like to and have the I don't know if this is like a newly commissioned art or if this was just an alternate cover that they used back in 1980. I don't remember ever seeing this one. But as a youth going through the VHS rental stores and seeing this on the shelf, this was very popular, and I do remember that catching my eye as a kid, and I have rented it on VHS before. But before we get into the movie and the case and all that stuff, let's take a look here at the beautiful cover. It has a very soft feel to it, and it has almost like a metallic, it's kind of hard to describe this one. It has kind of a very metallic, almost like a foil cover to it. And you can see that ominous house looming in the background, the pickup truck there on the left. And there's a scene in the movie where he's using kind of a blowtorch type deal. And this is a 2-disc limited edition. And this was, the second disc was an exclusive. I don't know if this was a Arrow Video website exclusive. They sent this one to me. I don't know if this was exclusive to their website. But it says for the limited edition contents, you get they call it a limited edition O card, which we call it a slipcover, featuring newly commissioned artwork by Christopher Shy, reversible sleeve, and a fold-out double-sided poster featuring original and newly commissioned art by Christopher Shy, illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Lindsay Hallam and James Flower. And for disc 1, you get the 2K restoration, which was done by Severin Films. And for disc 2, you get the extended cut, which is 92 minutes, which I believe is the same cut that was from Scorpion Releasing, which is 9 minutes longer than the original release of the film. I'm going to pause it here because there's some dogs barking in the background, and my dogs are shit's about to go down, so I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, so just to kind of go over again the slipcover, we don't want to spend too much more time on there. This is all region, and you can watch it with subtitles, which I always love to do. And no, I don't think I have a hearing loss or anything like that. I just like to experience the whole movie that way. Again, there's the original cover. Then it's a 2-disc, so you get a swing tray on the inside. This is the theatrical cut on disc 1. And this is the extended cut, which is 92 minutes long. And then that is the newly commissioned art by Christopher Shy that they talked about on the back. And to save a little time, I did take out the booklet, which is pretty nice. It feels like it's pretty thick. And as always, very high quality, very glossy photos, very thick pages. Check that out. Doesn't that kind of give you like a Texas Chainsaw Psycho type vibe to it? Lots of write-ups. Let's see if I can get that reflection of my flash off of there. So you see what I'm saying? You kind of get that, at least for me, I think a lot of people would probably feel the same way. You get that Psycho vibe, kind of a mama's boy, if you will, type of a killer movie. They're saying that they never wanted this to be considered a slasher movie, but in my opinion, I would consider this. I would put this in the slasher category. Really cool. The movie itself, I mean, it's not a great movie. I'm sure most of you guys have seen it by now. I would give it a good 6.5 out of 10, which, that's a pretty good score for a horror movie. And then this is the poster they were talking about. It's very small. It's about the size of my hand, maybe a little bit bigger. It's my hand, and that's the poster. But you do get the original art. What can you do with a poster like this? I mean, I guess you could hang it in your locker if you were a high schooler. And there's the newly commissioned art. I wouldn't even bother getting a frame for something that small. And then here's an advertising card for the 5 Shaolin Masters. So those were my 2, I guess, kind of miscellaneous titles, because I only had one from Arrow this time. And I was glad to finally get the movie Friday the 13th that everybody's been talking about for the past 40 years. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that out. And I've heard good things about it, so very excited to finally, 40 years later, watch that movie. So I'm going to pause it here. We'll get into the pile of Scream Factory stuff that I picked up. So I affectionately call these my Plain Jane Scream Factory movies, only because these were kind of, they were movies, they're older. A lot of them are from the 50s and 60s, and they didn't come with like the sexy slipcovers or posters, or well, some of them did, came with posters, but these are just kind of movies that have good transfers that you can enjoy now on Blu-ray. And some of these are going for, I think, $15 to $17 a piece on Amazon, which I think is a great price. It's even cheaper than, well, if you go to Scream Factory website, they always kind of bump it up by a few bucks for some reason. So a lot of these titles are like $3 or $4 more on the Scream Factory website, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But if you go to Walmart, or I choose Amazon, you're going to get these for like $3 or $4 or less. So like I was saying, they're like 15 to 17 bucks a piece. And the first one here is a movie with Peter Cushing in it, and I think Peter Cushing must have been in about 3,000 movies in his lifetime, because I think just about every movie I own has Peter Cushing in it. And this is called The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. And I'm not complaining about Peter Cushing, because I think he's a fine actor. He was a great, great genre actor. And I really like that these kind of have that throwback feel to them, almost like a lobby card or something you would see in the lobby of a theater. Just has that old-timey look to it. It says, "We dare you to see it alone. Each chilling moment, a shock test for your scare endurance." And this is a movie from 1957. And you can see Peter Cushing right there. And as I've gotten older, and believe me, I'm older now. I feel older every day. I have grown accustomed to black and white movies. I think they're great. When I was a kid, not so much, but now as an older adult, middle-aged adult anyway, I really do enjoy black and white movies. So there's kind of a splash page, or a panoramic, I guess, advertising of the movie on the inside, which looks great, by the way, with that minimal usage of color with the black and white. I think it looks really good. Also Forrest Tucker, of course, who was a great actor in his own right. And these are really, really fun movies. I was glad to kind of fill some of the holes in my collection with some of these movies that I had never picked up before. And that is The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. Basically, this is about a British scientist and an American who go on an expedition, or an exploration, if you will, in search of Yeti. And from what I remember, I've seen this years ago. It was pretty good. It was a pretty solid movie. So glad to have that in the collection. The next one is one I'm aware of, but I've never seen it before, and this was another kind of cheapie, I guess, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. And don't let the title fool you. It sounds kind of silly, almost kind of sounds like a comedy, but this was a straight-up horror movie, and they did remake it. I think it was a Disney movie that they remade a few years ago, like maybe 5-10 years ago. They remade this as a comedy on Disney. It was a rated G movie. But this one was a straight up horror movie from the 70s. And doing a little reading and a little research about the movie, it's about a boy whose father becomes bitten by a werewolf, and his father becomes a werewolf himself. And the boy sees this happening. Every full moon, he sees his dad, turning and transforming into a werewolf. And he tries to warn people, the townsfolk, his family. Nobody believes him. So I guess you'll have to tune in, and I'm going to have to tune in too, because I don't know how this movie ends, just from what I read. It's a movie from 1973. I never like to read the ending, so I like to go in it, if not completely blind, at least mostly blind on movies like this. I don't like any spoilers, so there's another splash page on the inside there. A scene from the movie. I did read also that there's kind of a comedy relief in this movie. These are called, I forget what they exactly call them, but they're hippies who are really religious, and it's kind of a little bit of a comedy relief mixed in with the horror element of the movie. So looking forward to watching this. I may even watch this one tonight, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf from 1973. The next one, I always enjoy these type of movies, The Lost Continent, or movies like that where it's like Voyage to the Center of the Earth, or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Different adventure type movies where they find different types of monsters or dangers as they voyage and travel and journey. It says it's a living hell that time forgot, and I really enjoy these type of movies. I know Kino Lorber has put out a bunch of movies like this, which is great because I do own quite a few of those type of movies too. Well, this is a movie from 1968. It is unrated. And it just says, just briefly, I'll say the passengers of an old freighter en route to South America find that their voyage is truly damned. The nightmare begins when Captain Lanson attempts to transport illegal explosives, and their rusty tramp steamer becomes stranded in the vast floating swamp of the mysterious Sargasso Sea. So you'll have to tune in and see the different types of monsters, and I'm not sure if it's stop motion or just practical effects with rubber monsters, but I really enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoy a good sci-fi just as much as I enjoy horror movies. So it sounds like this may be a little bit of mix between sci-fi and horror. And look at that splash page, that's beautiful. Looks like an old painted poster art. Really glad to have that. This was a Hammer film. So that is The Lost Continent. Okay, next up is called Tarantula. A giant spider strikes, crawling terror 100 feet high. This is a movie that I've seen years ago. Always loved that poster art. I actually have that framed. I don't have a whole lot of room in my house for posters anymore. Pretty much in my man cave areas, which would be my movie room and my bedroom, are kind of like my poster areas. So those two areas are pretty much, they have posters and stuff. So I just kind of put that one against the wall for now. It doesn't really get in the way. But this is a fun little sci-fi horror movie. It's another black and white movie. This one's from 1955. Very cheesy, over the top ridiculousness. giant bugs, giant bug movie, but it's fun. It's a drive-in style movie. It's a popcorn movie. Get yourself a big soda and a bag of popcorn or some beef jerky or licorice, whatever you eat for a snack, and just munch and watch the movie. There's a pretty cool splash page of tarantula. Glad to have that in the collection. Now the next two, let me see, and there's actually a third one. So the next three that I show are limited editions. These are Scream Factory website only movies. So you have to get this on their website. Once they're gone, they're gone. They're never going to be like in a Walmart or on Amazon. I think they're limited to 1,500 each. And this one's called The She Creature. Now these next three also did come with posters, but they were limited. And by the time I got these three, the only one I got a poster with was this one, which I have in a what do you call it? A binder. I forget what they're called. These binder things over here. Hold on. I didn't really plan on pulling this out, but portfolio, that's the word I was looking for. But this is where I keep posters I don't have room for. And just to quickly show, where is it? There's the She Creature poster. And now I'm kicking up dust. And people are going to think I have orbs in my house. I'm just a dusty guy, I guess. But I have yet to watch this one, but I wanted to grab it off their website before it was sold out, because these do sell out, and when they do, they go for ridiculous money. But it's another movie from the 50s, I believe. Yes, 1956. Another kind of a monster and rubber suit type movie. I could be wrong about that completely, but it looks like it. Sci-fi horror movie. There's kind of a panoramic splash page of the monster. And that is The She Creature. If anybody wants to comment about that, just leave it spoiler free. The next one sounds awesome. If anything, the title is great. It's called The Meat Cleaver Massacre. 4 crazed killers butchered his wife, son, and daughter. From his hospital deathbed, he called upon the power of the occult for revenge. And he got it. He really got it. It says it's an occult film so terrifying it will never be shown on TV. I remember hearing about this, but I have never seen it, and I did not get the poster with this one. Christopher Lee is in the movie. It's directed by Evan Lee, and the movie's from 1977. I did a little reading about this movie. Christopher Lee, from what I remember reading about it, I did a little bit reading about this about a month ago, and I read every day, so my mind gets a little bit cloudy on what I read a month ago. But Christopher Lee read for a part in a movie where he was kind of a narrator. And that movie got scrapped. It wasn't going to be made for whatever reason. I don't know if they ran out of money or what. But the director of that movie sold Christopher Lee's part to the director of this movie. And Christopher Lee didn't even know he was going to be in this movie. And I think he was going to sue, but his lawyer told him that they would get pennies. You know, they would have to spend thousands just to get pennies, and Christopher Lee dropped it. But he never planned on being in this movie, and I guess from what I heard, he never even watched this movie. But there's like a little, I think Christopher Lee's only in it for just a little bit. He's like a narrator in a section of the movie. From what I heard, like I said, I didn't watch it yet, but there's a kind of a gruesome splash page. So I thought that was a pretty interesting tidbit, if I remember correctly from what I read. Here's another one. Also, this was limited to 1,500, and it was also a Scream Factory website only purchase, as well as this one, limited to 1,500. You had to buy it on the website, and this is called The Flesh Eaters. Behind this membrane, he will be driven to a point midway between life and death. The only people who will not be sterilized with fear are those among you who are already dead. These are pretty fun little drive-in style movies. Another black and white picture from 1964. Wanted to grab these before they sell out and then they double or triple in value on eBay. You can get these now. I think these are only like $23, $24 a piece. But once they sell out, you can expect to pay $50 or $60 easy for these. And I'm pretty sure it's not worth $50 or $60 unless you're a hardcore collector, which if that's the case, you already have these for $20. So now here's another sci-fi horror movie. This was a Amazon purchase. I think I got it for like $17. This is called The Alligator People. And I just love the way that they do these covers to make them look like they have that throwback feel to them. It says her honeymoon turned into a nightmare of horror. The alligator people will make your skin crawl. Another movie from the 50s, 1959. Not rated. You can see that the special effects was very, very limited, but I guess it's effective, right? It looks like that guy has scales for skin. There's the disc art, and there's the splash page on the inside. Alligator people. See, I have my windows open because the weather has been pretty decent the last couple days. It's been very fresh, very refreshing to open up the windows and get the fresh air in. But with that, then you get a lot of traffic noises and dogs barking and all kinds of stuff. So I guess you got to trade one for the other, right? This is a movie that I like quadruple dipped on by now, or more. I think I have more than that. This is John Carpenter's The Fog. This is a 4K Blu-ray Steelbook. I haven't opened it yet, but we're going to open that now. We're going to go through and do that on camera here. I also got a lithograph with this one, but it's not the regular size poster that they normally have, which is 18 inches by 24 inches. This one is a very odd length, so I still have it in a tube, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to get a frame for it. If anybody wants it, if anybody wants to buy it for just a few bucks or whatever, let me know and I'll ship it to you. I think this artwork is awesome, and I really wanted this with the poster, but I was hoping it was just a regular size poster like that, because I have probably 20 frames like that I can use for a poster like this. But like I said, it's an odd shape, an odd length, so I don't have anything to put it in. But I'm going to pause it here. We're going to peel that plastic off and get inside and check it out. Better yet, if anybody wants the poster, I'd do a trade, a poster for a different poster maybe. I would rather do that than sell anything. I don't really like selling stuff. I'd rather do a trade. So I took the plastic off. Here's the J card, which I don't even really keep these anymore, but it's a 2-disc set because you get a Blu-ray and you get a 4K. There's new stuff on here. You get a new Dolby Atmos track. You get a newly restored original mono track. I think a lot of this stuff is ported over from the last Scream Factory releases as far as like the audio commentary and stuff like that. Yeah, that looks like that stuff's not new. But there is a bunch of stuff on here. There's hours of bonus material on here, which is great. And this is one movie I don't mind multiple dipping on because I love this movie. But that's what the steelbook looks like. You can see the lighthouse in the back. You can see some of the pirates there. That's awesome. Movies from 1979. This is one of Carpenter's best, I think, in my opinion. And then on the inside, you get the 4K disc. And you get the same exact disc that came with the Blu-ray. And then you get a splash page on the inside, which is really, really cool. Great movie. So that was my Scream Factory pile. I'm going to pause it here. We'll get into some more stuff. Okay, in order to make this video so it's not like a 2-hour video, I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit. When I get to the VHS, I'll pretty much go quick. So we just have to get through this little pile here. But the next one is a VHS tape that I ordered from Subrosa Studios, SRS Cinema. And this is a movie called The Undertow. This one sounds really good. It's kind of a backwoods slasher, kind of like, from what I hear, Friday the 13th is like. It says 6 friends enter the strange town of Old Mines for a weekend float trip. They quickly realize the town is not friendly to strangers, and they are pressured to leave by the police. When the friends decide to continue their float trip anyway, terrifying secrets of the town surface. A 7-foot-tall deformed maniac, known by the townsfolk as the Boy, is kept under lock and key by the town's mayor. The Boy's purpose is simple: kill outsiders. The mayor of Old Mines releases the Boy, and the maniac's hunt begins. One by one, the campers on their float trip are ripped to gory shreds by the enraged, deformed, hulking Boy. But there is a great mystery to the Boy. Who is his father? Who is his mother? How did he become so dangerous? In the end, the answers to these questions will put the entire town of Old Mines in danger. The Boy is an unstoppable killing machine, and anyone in his path won't be in one piece for long. This was limited to 100 pieces. I got number 44. And that sounds awesome. And that's what the tape looks like. It came with an advertising card for the Stardust brother, which I'm not sure what that is. But I think this movie, The Undertow it's called, came out in 2014. So if anybody has seen that, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, The Undertow. So I got a little stack of pretty much garbage movies from thrift shops now. A lot of them are putting out little displays for Halloween, which I really love. It's really fun. I like thrift shopping anyways. But when I go to a thrift shop and they have like a little Halloween corner where they have decorations and movies and things like that, masks, I really enjoy that. So I go through and I pick a few movies. This one's called Amityville Island. This was put out by Wild Eye. Movie from 2020, 71 minutes long. And if you know anything about Wild Eye, you know that they put out kind of low budget movies, kind of like Full Moon or Trauma, even lower than that, lower budget than those two, but they're pretty fun. I enjoy them. The next one is called I pronounce it Ouija. I know that it's also pronounced Ouija. People were correcting me, so I'm still going to pronounce it Ouija. That's just the way I've always pronounced it. But this is the Ouija collection, and you get Ouija Experiment, Ouija Resurrection, and Ouija Summoning. It's a 3-movie little pack here on, I believe it's 1 disc. Yeah, just 1 disc. Ultra low budget movies, but I still have fun with those. Here's another one called The Exorcism of Molly Hartley, unrated. And this one looks pretty good. I'm a non-believer in the afterlife, or not so much the afterlife. Let me rephrase that. I'm a non-believer in the spirit realm and ghosts and stuff like that. And where I stand on that issue is I want to believe. I would really love for there to be ghosts and spirits in other dimensions and stuff like that. But realistically and scientifically, it just doesn't make sense to me. And until I see something, I'm just not a believer, but I have fun with these movies, and I'm a big horror fan, so I guess here is I don't know if this has been used because I bought this used, but if anybody wants to try it, there's the redemption code. Don't know if it's expired or if it's already been redeemed, but you can try it if you want to. There's The Exorcism of Molly Hartley. Then I love buying these multi-packs like this, and I have a whole Rubbermaid tote full of these movies. This is called the 10 Movie Original Cult Classics, and these are some of the movies that have been released many, many times by many people. This was put out by Echo Bridge. You get the original Night of the Living Dead, The Little Shop of Horrors, that's the original one, the black and white one, starring Jack Nicholson. You get The Devil Bat, House on Haunted Hill, the original one with Vincent Price. You get Piranha, White Zombie, The Bat, Carnival of Souls, Maniac, and that's not the Maniac with Joe Spinell, that's a different one. And The Last Man on Earth, which is also a Vincent Price movie. So you get all those movies on 2 discs. Over 12 hours of movies. I really enjoy these. These are pretty fun. Here's another kind of a twin billing, I guess. It's called the MGM Midnight Movies. I have several of these as well. I didn't own this one already. I have a phone call right now. I hope it's not affecting the video, because it used to cut out my video, but I'm just going to keep going because I don't recognize the number. But this is a double feature of Strange Invaders and Invaders from Mars, which is a Tobe Hooper film. And these are really cool. These are fun. Some of these are pretty rare. It's a flipper disc. Some of them are very common, which I would imagine this one's pretty common. I think I got it for $1. But some of these double features are pretty rare, and they're very pricey. There's one called The Killer Shrews. I thought that cover looked great. I've heard of this movie many times, but I've never seen the movie. It is a black and white movie from 1959. This was put out by Alpha Video, and you can buy this at oldies.com. But it was cheap enough, and I thought the cover looked great, so I picked it up. It's probably a case where the cover is better than the movie itself. This one I have already, but I have the snapper case one, so I wanted to get this one. This was $2. I don't know if you can see that. I tried to wipe that off with a... there we go. It's off now. I used a tissue, and it only partially came off. But this is Peter Jackson's director's cut of The Frighteners, starring Michael J. Fox. This is a good movie. It's got these little flaps on here. Another flipper disc, and then it has a advertisement for King Kong. It says it's due to be in theaters 2005. That tells you how old this DVD is. But I was glad to get this edition instead of that snapper case. Here's another multi-pack. This is a 12-movie collection. This one's a little bit better, actually. This one has much better titles. You get Nightmare Castle, Point of Terror. Some of these have been put out by Severin Films. I think the majority of these have. And then some have been put out by Vinegar Syndrome, or I think even Arrow Video has put some of these out. But like I was saying, you get Nightmare Castle, starring Barbara Steele. Point of Terror, Horror Express with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Don't Answer the Phone, which has a couple different Blu-ray releases by now. I believe, it was either Scorpion or Code Red that put that out, and also Vinegar Syndrome put that out on Blu-ray. Bloody Pit of Horror, A Bucket of Blood, Don't Look in the Basement, Driller Killer, Drive-In Massacre, Silent Night, Bloody Night, House on Haunted Hill, and The Little Shop of Horrors. And this was $2. And this is pretty cool. This is a 3-disc set. I think this is probably one of the better multi-packs. And then the last one for the DVDs that I bought, and actually this one's still sealed too, by the way. This was never opened. So I thought that was a pretty good deal for $2. Here's some ridiculousness here. Navy SEALs versus the zombies. This is an Anchor Bay release. And Anchor Bay has really fallen. I mean, for one thing, this movie is probably crap. It's probably funny. There's probably good parts in it. It's probably worth the $1 or $2 that I bought or paid for it. But I mean, just look at how far they've fallen. They're using these flimsy, this thing feels like it's paper thin. There's no special features. The case sucks. There's no art on the disc. There's no insert. Anchor Bay used to be the top dog for a long time, but that was a long time ago. So anyway, I'm going to pause it here. We're going to kind of do a little fast track here. We're going to go through and just kind of plow through these. Okay, so there's a little pile here of these little gel window clings, they call them, or gel stickers. You actually can take these out of the package and you can slap them right on your window, and it's like a nice little decoration. But I prefer to keep these in the plastic just like this. I don't put these in my windows. I think these look good just as they are. And I have a stack of these already that I've been collecting over the years, and these used to be $1 at the Dollar Trees. And now I bought a bunch of these at Goodwill, and they're $2 now. They're going up in price. But this one's like a little, I don't know. It's not a witch, but it's some kind of a hermit with a witch's brew wearing some kind of a pumpkin helmet. Cracks me up. And it's like little stars and some little bats. These are really cool. Next one's kind of like a Frankenstein. I should try to find something solid. Hold on, I'm going to find something solid to put these on so you can see them better. Okay, I just flipped over the back of my tarantula poster. I took it off the wall. This will probably show up a little bit better. So going back to the first one, you can kind of see it's like I don't know if it's like a wizard or a warlock or what that is, but he's got like a little bubbling brew, and you can see the bats and the stars. It's pretty cool. And then the next one here is like a Frankenstein. And there's like the little bolts you can put in the neck, some stars, the hair, and the green face. Pretty fun. Then there's some kind of like a little goblin, the little purple wings, antenna. These are they're really good. And then there's Happy Halloween with the different pumpkins and bats. It's pretty good. I really love Halloween. Here's one that says a wee bit wicked. We got a black cat. And you got one with everybody's least favorite candy corn, which is crap. It's terrible, but it looks fun, and it's definitely part of the season. But it's definitely my least favorite candy. It's garbage, but it just says trick or treat, and there's candy corn and stars. And then the last one, I was debating whether to get this one or not, and I thought, what the heck? It's still pretty cool. It's supposed to be like a little scarecrow, and yeah, it's definitely worthy of Halloween decorations. So that was my little window clings. Let me know what you guys think about those. Okay, now this is where we're going to kind of fly through. I've been really loving VHS tapes over the last couple of years especially, but VHS has always held a very special place in my childhood heart. And when I see these out in thrift shops, I look for them in very, very good condition, and they're so cheap. I just can't resist. So the first one here is called The Wind in the Willows. And this is the beautifully animated full-length classic narrated by Vanessa Redgrave. This is an excellent movie that I remember from my childhood. And this thing was in like brand new condition. I think the majority of these were like $0.25 to 50 cents. Nothing more than that. Here's one I thought was a pretty good buy. This is called Law of the Land, starring a very young Don Johnson. And what's cool about this one, it's a Betamax tape, but it's in a VHS-sized clamshell. How cool is that? And the case is like brand new. It's beautiful. And this movie is from 1976. And it was put out on VHS in 1986. So this thing is almost, well, what would that be? About 36 years old, right? So that's a really good buy. I was glad to find that one. Here's another excellent buy. I thought this was great. This is in Hanna-Barbera, The Greatest Adventures, stories from the Bible. I remember these as a kid. And this one's called Noah's Ark, and it has the voices of Lauren Green and Charlotte Rae. And these are also in really good condition. So I thought that was a great addition to the VHS collection. This is the second time I have this movie on VHS, but this was in such good condition. I couldn't leave it behind for a quarter. I love this movie so much. The Princess Bride. I bought it because I could either sell it or trade it. I'm thinking about starting a VHS trade group, but I don't really know how to go about doing that. But I would love to start a group like that where we can, get a couple guys together, or a group of guys and gals who have VHS that they'd like to trade, that are trustworthy and they have good condition stuff, and start a little trade group. I think that would be great. Then my favorite cartoon dog, I got a bunch of these. I have Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood. I have Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I think I have two of these as well, and they're both in brand new like condition. This one was 50 cents. And I have two of these now as well. I love this movie as well, and this was in perfect brand new like condition. And of course that's Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Who doesn't love this movie? It's in brand new condition. So this one will be, if I ever do start a VHS trade group, if you guys are interested in something like that, comment down below. We can figure out how to do something like that. I don't want to have to do it on Facebook, but if that's our only option, I would. I got rid of Facebook a few years ago, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I hate Facebook. But if you guys have any ideas on how to start a group like that, let me know. If you're even interested in it, and if we get enough people interested in it, we can start talking about it. I'm going to pause it here and we'll continue. Okay, let's keep rocking here. What else did we get? Like I was saying earlier, the thrift shops have little Halloween displays. So they have their Halloween VHS or their horror VHS with their DVDs and other stuff. So I was able to pick up a couple VHS. First one here is called Eyes of Laura Mars, starring Faye Dunaway and Tommy Lee Jones. A very young Tommy Lee Jones. Looked like he just got some new conditioner, got that hair kind of fluffy. But I've never seen this before. I think Brad Dourif is also in here. And he must have been a kid back then. When did this come out? I'm not even sure. Looks like it says 1993, but it could be 83. It's hard to tell. But it says it's a riveting tale of murder and suspense. So that sounds pretty good. Doesn't mean it's necessarily horror, but it's horror-ish, I guess. This one looked really good. The Curse of Frankenstein. It was in brand new condition. I slapped them in plastic. Try to preserve it as much as I can. You got it. Peter Cushing is in it. Here's one that was a little beat up, but I feel like I kind of saved it a little bit. Nicholas Roeg and Jim Henson collaboration called The Witches. I don't remember ever seeing this, but it looks really fun. It has Angelica Houston. It's from the late great Muppet creator Jim Henson, comes an instant classic bursting with enchantment and adventure. It sounds really good. I might have to try to track that down on like DVD or Blu-ray. Check it out. Based on a book by Roald Dahl. When was this? When did it come out? It seems like it would be from the 80s, but I don't know for sure. Late 80s, early 90s, maybe. Keeping up with the horror stuff, because it's not all horror. I picked up the Blair Witch Project, and it's still sealed, which I thought was a good deal. It was either a quarter or 50 cents, I don't remember. And I've never seen this movie. I don't ever plan to. I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan, but it was brand new, sealed. And this might be something I throw into the VHS trade group if we ever get one going. And I have a second copy now of Scream, the original Scream, a Wes Craven movie, in really good condition. It says this is the exclusive Drew Barrymore packaging edition. I think I have two of these, the same cover. And then there was a kind of a box set for the Blair Witch Project, and it opens up kind of like a gatefold. And then there's also the Curse of the Blair Witch. It's the uncensored investigation documentary about the movie. It's a 2-disc or a 2-tape set, so you get the movie and the kind of documentary of it, and that's what the backside looks like. And you get 2 tapes. I got Star Trek 6, so now I'm only missing 1 for the complete spine that makes up the Enterprise. I think I'm missing part 3, or it could be part 4. No, I think I have 1, 2, 4, 5, and now 6. I'm missing 3. This one is not in the greatest shape, but I bought it just because. If I find a better edition of it, I will keep that one and get rid of this one. But for now, I wanted that one. I have a Frank Sinatra box set. I have these all on DVD, but now I have them on VHS as well. These are the Frank Sinatra Signature Series. You get 1 tape is A Man and His Music. These are kind of like documentaries about Old Blue Eyes. And here's Old Blue Eyes is back with special guest Gene Kelly. Those guys were good friends in real life. And the third one is A Man and His Music. Ella Fitzgerald is also in there as well. So this was a cool little box set. I think I paid $1 for that. Pretty cool little shelf display pieces. I love Sinatra. You guys will see that coming up. I got a bunch of his tapes too. Got a couple of Disney movies. George of the Jungle in the cardboard box. I'm going to put these in plastic and add them to the Disney VHS collection. I also have White Fang. I found this little DVD box set. I paid $6 for it. It was originally $22.88 at Sam's Club years ago. It's still sealed. Comes with Ice Age, Robots, and Alvin and the Chipmunks. I thought that was a great deal for $6, still sealed. It's pretty cool. Glad to have it. I grew up watching these winter Christmas specials as a kid with my brother, and we always had a great time watching these. I found these at a thrift shop, and this is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. The Christmas specials from back in the 60s. I believe this one was from, let's see here. Well, it came out on VHS in 1989, but I believe this one was from the 60s. And then we have Frosty the Snowman. It was narrated and sung by Jimmy Durante. The Schnazola, that guy was great. This is a Rankin Bass production. Those guys were phenomenal. I believe this was also from the 60s. And then Frosty Returns. I thought these were really fun to grab, and they're all in really, really good condition. I don't know if I'll ever find these out in the wild again, especially in this condition. I mean, these are all... This one still has plastic on it. It was viewed. They cut the bottom off. But I mean, it's still in really, really good condition. All of these are in like perfect, brand new condition. I'm a big fan of the entertainment from the 60s and 70s. I think those are the best eras. If I had to pick one decade that I think was the best, it would probably be the 70s. I'm a big fan of the Rat Pack as well. So anything I see with Dean Martin, Sinatra, those guys, I pick it up. And I found some of the Dean Martin Variety Show VHS tapes in brand new condition. Here's volume 1. You can see some of the big names. You got Bing Crosby, Lucille Ball, John Wayne, Frank Sinatra. And then we had volume 2. You got Don Rickles, Florence Henderson, Jimmy Stewart, some of the best, Bob Newhart, some of the best talent ever. Volume 4, I was missing 3. They didn't have it there. So this one has Michael Landon. Who else? You got Sinatra again. Rowan and Martin were great. Jimmy Stewart again. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans. Then we had volume 5, which had Bob Hope, Jack Klugman, Howard Cosell, John Wayne again, Johnny Carson, who was one of the best ever. And volume 6, we had Orson Welles, Flip Wilson, Olivia Newton-John, who just recently passed away. She was great. What a beautiful woman. She seemed like such a kind soul, too. She's really going to be missed. So I was glad to pick those up. And I have one more little pile here of VHS, and then we're going to get into some cassette tapes, and we'll end this very long video. I hope you guys are enjoying it. The next one is the Wild Bunch. This was kind of a greatest hits type. I mean, it was just a bunch of great actors in one movie. The movie was pretty good. It wasn't a great movie, but you had William Holden, Borgnine, Warren Oates was in it. I thought Jack Elam was in here. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, no, I don't think he is. L.Q. Jones is in here, who recently passed away too, within the past year or so. Strother Martin was also in here. Yeah, this is a good one. I remember my dad watching this when I was a kid. I have it on Blu-ray too. This was a great find. This is John Wayne and Lauren Bacall in The Shootist, and this is still sealed. So I thought that was a really, really great find. I think this may have been John Wayne's last movie, because he was struck with terminal illness, terminal cancer, and I believe this may have been his last movie. It doesn't say in the back. I'm pretty sure this is his last one, because it said it was from 1976, and I think the Duke died in 77. I could be wrong about that. Three Stooges Festival, I just grabbed this. It was $0.25. Who doesn't like the Stooges? I have a pretty good Stooges collection. I thought this was a good find too. Popeye and Aladdin's Magic Lamp. I pick these kind of things up if I find them in really, really good condition. If you notice, these are like in brand new. There's no stains or rips or dings or tears or anything like that. These are in really good condition. Abbott and Costello and Africa Screams. This one looks really cool. I still have to get some more plastic to put these in, but this is a movie from 1949. If you look, Shemp Howard was in there from the Three Stooges. That's pretty cool. Love Jack Benny. I thought he was great, and I have a lot of stuff from Jack Benny. I have DVDs and audio tapes and CDs and VHS tapes. This is called The Collector's Choice. 2 videos, the Jack Benny program. There's 4 episodes from the classic TV show, The Golden Age of Television. There's 2 tapes in there. This was in really, really good condition. So I'll grab that. Now let's get into some of the cassettes I have, and then we're going to wrap this up. This is a Time Life cassette tape of the hits from 1951, and there's a lot of good stuff on here, so I grabbed it. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much of who's all on here, but yeah, that was a pretty good. It's a double length cassette tape. This one is called Christmas with Bing Crosby, Nat King Cole, and Dean Martin, three of the best to ever lay down vocals. These guys were phenomenal. And I absolutely love Christmas music. It's not going to be long before they're playing it on the radio, and I really do enjoy it. I know people complain about it and say that it's too early, but you don't have to listen to it. There's 100 other channels you can turn it to, but I love listening to Christmas music. Here's one called Frank and Bing's Christmas. So you have some Sinatra and Bing Crosby music for Christmas. I think these are great. These are only a quarter a piece. Here's one called Dancing and Reminiscing with Bing Crosby. These are really fun. My favorite singer of all time is Nat King Cole. This is the legendary singers from Capitol Records. He was great. Here's Chestnuts Roasting, Nat King Cole Christmas music. Some of the smoothest vocals you'll ever hear in your life. Here's Nat King Cole Christmas song. This one's still sealed. It has the Value Plus sticker on there. If you look on the back, it looks like they were selling it for $5 at one time at some store. I got these for a quarter. You can see some of the songs if you want to pause that and read it. I got some old Blue Eyes, Francis Albert Sinatra, the Academy Award winners, all those Academy Award winning songs. Not all of them because there was too many to put on one tape. This one's called Now Is the Hour. This was his kind of last hurrah because he had retired for a bit and then he came back. And this was some of his very earliest stuff. This was his best, his golden age, young Frank Sinatra. I'm going to put Old Man River. I'm going to put a link to it down below. I want you guys to check that out. It will definitely give you goosebumps. And I'll put a Nat King Cole song down there too. I'll pick one and put it down there and check that out. And then here's the 8-track tape. I thought this was a cool find. This is Unforgettable, Nat King Cole, Collector's Edition. I thought this was an excellent find. So that is my update for the past month. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I thank you very much for watching. If you guys are interested in starting or maybe joining a VHS tape trading group, if you have any ideas about that, let me know. I'll be all ears. Glad to hear any suggestions about that. So for my ladies, Miss Hannah and young Miss Heidi here, I will see you next time. Oh, and also, if anybody plans on being at Scarefest in Kentucky, October 19th, I think. No, I take that back. What is that? I think it might be October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd or something like that. It might be 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. If anybody's going to be at Scarefest in October in Kentucky, let me know. I'd like to meet up with some of you guys out there. I'm already going to meet a couple of fellows out there and really looking forward to it. I don't get to travel very much, so I'm going to get out there and I'm going to kind of enjoy myself. So if anybody's going to be there, let me know and maybe we can plan on meeting up. Otherwise, take care and I'll see you next time. Later.